Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Jacksonville Buzz. I'm your host, Adrienne Houghton, and alongside me is my trusted steed, Tom Reber. Joining us in the studio today is Sakai Dozier, and he is the founder of Vernacular Games.
Yes.
Good morning and welcome.
Oh, it's good to be here.
Good. So, what's Vernacular Games?
All right, so Vernacular Games is a decentralized game development company. Wow. So we exist on the net. We are everywhere, and yet we are nowhere. But essentially, I started them way back in, that was like 2008. We've gone through a couple of things over that period of time, and we have since become a company that does digital games, tabletop games, storybooks. We're branching out into comics, and also just in general entertainment media. That's kind of our thing.
Wow, that's
didn't see that coming.
No, neither did I. So tell us a little bit about you. How did you actually finally get into games? What's your background?
So I always had kind of a desire to make them. I grew up with them, so a military brat, right? So moved around a lot. That means you don't really get to make too many friends, so you kind of have to entertain yourself. And my parents were lovely enough to buy my sister an NES, and of course I was the one that played it all the time. And so I grew up with the games during the golden age of gaming. So, which means I'm kind of a Nintendo stan. I love that though. But that's what made me really love games. I loved the interaction of it, and I loved a lot of the depth there. Particularly the music really caught my ear. But I wanted to join into that ever since, middle school, when I was just drawing up levels and just going like, hey, here, this is how this goes. And then at some point I'm like, maybe I can do this. So after that, once I got out of high school, I went to the DigiPen Institute of Technology. And this was early on, before they even had a game design degree. So I took real-time interactive simulation and learned how to program.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so my third year there, I actually dropped out. And so this was because, as it turns out, graphics programming is a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Those triangles will kick your butt.
Wow.
But that is the thing. So, and what's funny is that because I was working with what we called the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
They were the first four designers to eventually graduate from DigiPen. I was actually with them while they were vetting all of the new teachers that would be there. I think, I forget his last name, but one of the teachers, he was the guy who created the Cyberpunk IP. He's doing very well now. But
so let's go back to talking about Vernacular Games.
Yeah.
Yes.
What makes your gaming company different from all the others that are out there?
Because there's so many of them. Yes. So one of the big things that our company is really focusing on is the development of our internal people, and specifically making sure that when they leave the company, they actually have something to show for it. And one of the things that happens a lot with a lot of game companies, particularly in the AAA space, is you have this thing called an NDA, the non-disclosure agreement. And so you could be working on a game for 5 years. And then you'll leave. And they'll be like, well, you can't say anything about it.
Right.
And it gets even worse when you get to the companies that actually have a negative work environment, where it's not just non-disclosure, it's non-disparagement, which basically means that you can't even say anything about how work was, whether or not you were abused, all that sort of stuff. And it gets kind of crazy. So that's one of the things from a work culture standpoint. That's one of the things for Vernacular is we really try to be very healthy.
Good.
Trying to make sure that we're not destroying people's lives for the sake of the game. I think that's important. On the flip side of things, we're very focused on the retro style of game structure. So not just in the presentation and the veneer, but also in the sales model. Because currently the model is release an incomplete title and nickel and dime the person for each expansion that they buy.
Right.
So that they don't realize that they've spent about $1,000 on this one one title.
Goodness me! I mean, that's a lot, isn't it?
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. A lot of good stuff.
I'm sure we're getting told we have to wrap it up.
Oh, yes.
But briefly, if you can tell us, in 5 years' time, where do you see yourself?
In 5 years' time, I see myself having released at least two large-scale titles, a myriad of micro games, all on the net. I expect the team to have grown at least by 3 times what it is currently, and I also hope that we will be in the public eye.
Yes. And where can they find your games?
So they can find our games on either at vernaculargames.com, so that's our website, or they can find them on Steam
Good.
or itch.io.
All right.
Wonderful.
Good.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and telling us. I had no idea.
Yeah,
Did
this
you?
is awesome. Good job, Sakai.
Wonderful.
Well,
So,
awesome.
Sakai, thank you very much.
Thank
Awesome
you.
job.
Good luck with the future.
Of course, the future is now.
Yes.
That's for sure.
I like it.
And if you would like to know any more information about Sakai or vernacular games, you can find it on dailynewsnetwork.com.